So let's say that you come into a sum of money, maybe you get a bonus at your job, and you're trying to decide whether you should use that money to pay off debt or whether you should use it to invest instead. How do you make that decision? So that's the exact question that I got from a client last week. So I just wanted to shoot a quick video to share my thought process with you of how I answered that question, what I looked at, and hopefully that's helpful for you. So the way that this question is typically answered is, people look at the cost of the debt, right? Like, what is the interest rate on the credit card that you're trying to pay off, or the car payment, or student loan, or whatever the case may be. And they compare that to the rate of return, or the expected rate of return on the investment. And if the rate of return on the investment is higher than the debt, then it makes sense to invest versus pay off debt. But it's not as simple as that, is it? Because when you look at paying off debt, one of the things that paying off debt does that investing doesn't do is that when you pay off debt, the interest rate on that debt is a guaranteed return for you for the period of time that you would have had the debt otherwise had you not paid it off, right? So if you have a credit card and the interest rate on that credit card is 16%, and you use those funds to pay off a credit card to the point that that payment is no longer there for you, your guaranteed return on that investment, the paying off of the debt, is 16%. And it's guaranteed. It's not going to go up or down. It's not projected. It's guaranteed, right? Whereas the return on investment, it's projected. You can be conservative about it, but it's not guaranteed. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The second thing to keep in mind, right, is that you could earn money by getting a return on an investment, but there's also another way to earn money, which is to remove expenses from your cash flow statement, right? By paying stuff off where that payment is no longer there. That does two things. If you, let's say, have a car payment and the car payment is $500 a month, if you have enough funds from your bonus to pay off that car, you will no longer have that $500 payment for the remainder of the duration of that loan, right? So during that period of time, you could set up an auto draft or an auto transfer from your checking account to your savings account, and you could save that $500 a month, right? So that's how you quantify that return. But in addition to that, right, paying off the debt, what it does is it opens up more bandwidth for you to buy more investments later. So for every $500 payment that you don't have to pay anymore, that will enable you to buy or to borrow $70,000 to $80,000 on an investment property mortgage later, right? So it opens up more investing bandwidth for you later. So the advice that I ended up giving my client was that in his particular case, it made more sense to pay off the high interest credit card debt, right? Because that would do two things. It would free up room in his cash flow statement where he could then use those funds as to build up the capital to invest later. But in addition to that, it would also increase his investing bandwidth. So when he would come back to bat on investing the next year, he could buy two properties as opposed to one property, and he would be under a lot more solid financial footing. So that was the thought process that I used and that I evaluated with that client, and I just wanted to share it with you. This is Arion with Investing Architect. I hope this was helpful for you. I plan on doing more of these videos on a regular basis. So if you have any questions that you'd like for me to address, any topics that you'd like me to talk about, please put a comment below or send me a direct message. Thanks. Have a great week.